11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think we're gonna win it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Thanks to those joining me live and those that will be joining me on the archive. D-Style here. Thanks to everybody watching. By the way, hit the like button if you're watching on the archive. Being joined by my co-host, Calix. And, of course, we have Glen Jennings in the building once again. And joining us today is the one and only Liam Wilson. How's it going, Liam?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Everything's going good over here. I've started my training camp in America, United States, and we're getting some good work in. So, I'm looking forward to the date, March 29, and I can't wait to get this fight underway.
Now, I know you want to look forward. I know you want to talk about that fight, former WBC champion Valdez. However, I do want to go back to the past a little bit, just for a little bit, all right? Not that far back, but you just the last time you fought in that same arena in Glendale, Desert Diamond Arena, was against Navarrete, Emmanuel Navarrete. He was the reigning champion, and there you are, opportunity of a lifetime. Round 4, you heard him. We all know about the controversy. But before all that, the weigh-in. So I heard things, so I want to hear it from you. What did you know you weigh, and what did you weigh at the scale?
Well, I'm not too sure between pounds and kilos, but I think it worked out to about 0.6 pounds or 200 grams in Australian. The weight, I weighed in about 30 minutes before the official weigh-in, and I was about 200 grams under. Sorry, as you usually do when you go to make weight, you make it just. And then the official weigh-in started. I weighed in, and I was 126, and I haven't been that light since I was about 17 years old. And it didn't really click to me because I'm not used to the kilos and pound, the pound sort of metrics. Okay. And then it sort of registered to me like, hang on a sec, I haven't been that light since I was about 17 years old. And then obviously he'd weighed in. He just made weight, of course. And going off those statistics, he must have been about 2 kilos overweight.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 2 kilos under. He was 2 kilos heavier.
Glenn, are you good with the metrics and pounds?
Yeah. Well, the kilos, there's 2.2 pounds to a kilo. So if he's 2 kilos under, Liam was 4.4 pounds light. And Navarrete was 4.4 pounds over.
And that would be correct because I weighed in at 126 when the weight division is 130. And I would have just scraped in under that, obviously.
Yeah, there you go.
Weighing.
Yeah.
And I weighed 126. He made weight, of course, and he was bang on. Then I checked my weight. I had a bowl of water, checked my weight, and I was about 3 kilos heavier or something off a bowl of water.
Yeah.
I was like, hang on a sec.
That must have been some heavy water.
So
something in that water there.
I guess for Liam, having been 200 grams under, knowing that he just made the under the limit, and then to jump on the scales and be 4 pounds off, something was wrong. But again, Liam said, in the moment, the kilos and the pounds, because we're metric and we only work on kilos, and it threw him off a little bit. I wasn't managing Liam then, unfortunately. I would have certainly been on the stage and I wouldn't have let him get off the scale. And I would have asked the commission to come forward and explain. And then for Emmanuel to get on and just make the weight, it really blew things into outer space, because effectively if what Liam's weight was correct, we were seeing a bloke who was literally 4 pounds overweight, just coming in under the limit. And you guys have all seen the footage. There's some funny things went on that day. There's a person of interest who picked up the scales and who looked like they were constantly looking around to see if anyone was paying attention. That happened on 2 occasions where the scales were picked up off the floor. I've never, ever seen that before. So we had every right. I just think that had I been there, this certainly would have been addressed immediately and then if not challenged straight away, because that's a big difference at this weight limit for these guys, a big weight difference.
So in fairness to Valdez, I never seen him specifically have issues with weight, so he may not even be an issue in this fight. But I was going to ask you next, Glenn, and you already answered, obviously, like if you're going to be keeping an eye on the scale.
Sure.
So it looks like that's being squared away. Liam, how did that affect you, if any, psychologically? Knowing, okay, he's probably, did he think maybe this guy's
honestly not much at the time. Like when I think about it now in hindsight, I think that was probably the most detriment part of the whole fight. Like the fight, obviously there was a long count, but I think the fact that he weighed in two kilos heavier or 4 pounds heavier, is that right? Yeah, 4 pounds
4.5,
heavier.
yeah.
I feel like that could have been the difference in him getting up and him not getting up, or his durability in the fight. That's a lot of weight if he was already drained, and for him to take that weight off him, if he had to, and then take my power, my punches, or try and recover from that knockdown, it would have been a lot harder. So I feel like that could have made a big difference in the fight. And to me, that probably hurts more than the long count, the mouth guard thing. I mean, he's a fighter. He has to do what he has to do. There's nothing against him. But when there's officials involved, like the weight scandal, the weight, the scales sort of thing, that makes me a bit upset.
And Liam, the controversy did not end there with that fight. What was your thinking as you go to a neutral corner, as you knock Navarrete down, and you're seeing, we all saw it, it's quite the lengthy count. So what was your mind frame watching that, and how do you feel about that now?
Yeah, like it's unfortunate I had to go through that because my dream was to be world champion, and it was at my fingertips right then. I knocked him down. Then I see this a very long count happen right in front of me, and I was moments away from being world champion, and and it was out of Navarrete's hands. It was out of my hands. It was the officials, and that makes me a bit of a sour taste in my mouth with that sort of things.
Do you? One more question about that fight before we proceed. This is kind of like it was actually a debate in this community afterwards. When a fighter spits out his mouthpiece, for you, is it okay? I understand because he wanted to buy time, so I get it. Or did you see it another way? Did you see it like, okay, that's kind of a power move?
It's funny because like I didn't see it in a bad way at all. He's a fighter. I don't see anything bad. Yeah, I didn't have any bad taste with what happened other than the long count. He's a fighter. He's doing what he had to do. He's trying to buy time. People have done that in the past. But it depends how you look at it and what you take it on boxing is, or what your understanding is of it.
Okay, you're right. Plenty of fight. Corrales did it twice against Castillo, then he won.
I didn't think much of it, to be honest. Like the long count, the scales, that's what pissed me off.
Okay. Your last fight in Australia against English, it was a pretty tough fight by the looks of it. Was it as tough as it looked?
It was. I think there's no excuses. Like I was prepared. I was ready. I felt unbelievable. Actually, I feel like I was overtrained. I had a strain on my right quad, and I couldn't run for about 8 weeks. So it sort of altered my training. I really banked on my running to lose the weight, and when I had to substitute that for rowing, assault bike, I just felt like I was jacked the whole time. And when I come to lose that weight, it felt very hard. Okay. And I'm naturally quite big for this weight anyway, as you can see in the fights. But having that sort of lingering throughout the weeks of my camp, it felt very hard to get off.
Yeah. How are you doing with the weight? Are you comfortable still with the weight class?
Yeah, it's perfect now. I'm back running. I've always banked on that. I know it might seem pretty minuscule, or it's just something I've always relied on. I enjoy my running. It's a big part of my training camp, and when that was taken away from me, it was like a big damper in my camp as well. So I had to find an alternative, and that's my training. My whole training schedule is completely different to what I usually follow.
All right. Glenn, talk to us. How did this? How did you and Liam Wilson start working together here? Like, 'cause I know you were not with him as you stated in the Navarrete fight.
Yeah. Liam and I met up about 5 years ago, really very close to the beginning of Tim's career as well. And Liam and I had a chat then, and he asked me then, would I consider managing him? But it's a very big commitment, and I'm one of those guys that unless you can give 100%, you better not to. And at the time, my businesses were running. I had a lot on my plate. So the timing wasn't right. We kept in touch as good mates, and I followed Liam right through and his career, and it was whilst Liam was in Arizona this time last year for the Navarrete fight, where he gave me a call, and we opened that chat up again. He was in a position where he just wasn't satisfied with some things that were happening, and I had freed myself up a little bit. So I said, look, mate, what I want you to do is just focus on the Navarrete fight, and as soon as you get home, let's have a coffee together and we'll have a chat. And of course, the rest is history. From when Liam got home, we got together and got the deal done, and we've moved on since then. So he's in a great place right now. I'm really happy for him because a lot of his career, there were issues with things that were spinning around outside of boxing that he should not have to deal with. And good management is about keeping your fighter, distraction free. So the camp he's in now is working beautifully. It's very well planned. It's very well structured. And I think these young fellas need a manager that does that and takes care of that and allows them to do what they need to do, which is win. It's a pretty simple formula. I take care of everything else. And it's very much a very tight pool, very small teams with my fighters. We don't have big entourages. It's all about business. So I'm very proud to manage him. He's a great talent. He's a special athlete and a wonderful young fella. So we're enjoying ourselves. The process is great, and we're enjoying ourselves.
Liam, and Glenn, you can answer this too. Is Tim Zoo, is this the same camp? Is this the same gym that you're with Tim Zoo, that whole camp there?
We are training in the same gym, just different times. We see each other time to time, but no, different camps, different training regime. He's got his trainer, I've got mine, and we're following a different routine. So we're both getting prepared for two different fighters. So it just makes sense to follow what we know.
And what's the sparring looking like right now in camp for Valdez?
Good. I actually have a sparring partner. It actually blew me away. He's a handy little crafty fighter, and he fights just like Valdez. I'm very happy with the sparring over here. It's what we don't get back in Australia, and that's purely the reason why we're here. We're very limited to what the work we can get back home. And, I take my hat off to Glenn for making this very possible. But, I've based myself here in America to get that good work in, isolate myself from my family, my kids, all the good things back home. But, it's going to be well worth it once I beat Valdez. So I'm excited, and it could be better any other way. This is perfect.
Who is this guy? Who's this? Do you know his name?
Joseph Machado.
Okay. Is he Mexican?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You'll have to look him up.
But man, he fights. He fights just like Valdez.
Is it that he's loading up on shot? Because if you watch Valdez, he's dangerous but he's dangerous and flawed at the same. He loads up on shots. He's one of the most fan friendly fighters to watch. Is that what you see too when you see Valdez?
Yeah, he's very fan friendly. I think I'm excited for this fight because I think both our styles are exactly that, and I'm excited to put on a show for the whole world, the boxing community. Two styles that are gonna just put on a. This could be one to remember. I think mine and Navarrete's fight was a great one, and this is gonna be another. I think we're both coming off losses to Navarrete, so we're both here to sort of prove our point and that we've still got it. I mean, I'm still young. I've definitely got it. I wouldn't say he's on the back end of his career, but he's already done all the good things. He's been world champion twice, and he'd still like to redeem himself to show the world that he's still got it. So I think the fight with me and him is going to be an absolute barn burner, and I've always had that sort of style in me. I've always had that sort of mentality of come to fight, come to win. Doesn't matter who you are, and I'm so excited.
And you brought up being fan friendly and entertaining. Real quick, D style. I think that's key. And do you see that as a sort of a vacuum to take advantage of in America? Because D style and I talk about on our channels a lot how fighters in America are failing to entertain. They're failing to be active. And we're starting to see more foreign based fighters come over to America and gain just boxing fans like us who want to just see fighters fight and entertain. We don't need fighters to be perfect or anything like that. Do you see that as a sort of something to take advantage of here and want to fight in America more often?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many fighters out there across the world that want to keep that O. They don't want to lose. They don't want to test themselves. I'm not proud of losing, but I've lost twice already to two very good fighters. And what's another hard fight? I know I can bring the fight. I know I can fight anybody in the world, and it's something that I love doing. So why not risk it all again? And whatever happens, why not risk it again after that? No matter how this fight goes, I'm confident I'm going to win. But I hope to see you guys again back in here in America, and I'm going to be taking another hard fight.
Now, when you fight an Oscar Valdez, what comes with that is his corner. He has Eddie Reynoso, who's also the trainer, Canelo in the corner. Canelo might be ringside. More likely, he's always have Valdez's fights. Does that bring more pressure to you, or does that get you more excited? Like how does that make you feel?
Not at all, because they're not in the ring. They're not in the ring with him. I'm excited. I'm excited to come up against them as an opposition. Yes, I'm fighting Valdez, but his team I'm up against as well. They're putting in the work in him inside the gym. 10 weeks prior to that, and that's an exciting moment for me. I can say I fought a very strong and good team in boxing, but it doesn't worry me one bit.
Now you've already been obviously in the tunnel, getting ready to walk out to that ring in that arena. How was the atmosphere like when you fought Navarrete? What was it? Was it? Did it get you exciting? Was it intimidating? Or are you just tunnel vision? You don't really acknowledge it. Like what's your mindset walking out to that ring?
The last year when I went there, I was sort of it was really tunnel vision. It felt like a blur. I think that come down to a bit of inexperience as well. I've only had 15 fights in my career as of now. When I fought Navarrete, I had 13. That's a pretty inexperienced guy against a guy that had been in there 35 times, I think, at that time. So, but it goes to show what I'm capable of. I'll fight anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. I don't care about the name. We're just two men in the ring. We both bleed red. So it is what it is. But I'm ready. I think I had to go through that to really prevail in this fight, and I can't wait for this one.
So Valdez is coming off a loss, and you're his next fight, right? Do you think that makes him, more dangerous? Because it's a must win for him here. At least that's the way he feels coming into this fight.
Yeah, I would expect that. I would expect that, and that's what I am expecting. I'm training for a very game and tough Valdez. He's a warrior. He always comes to fight, but I think in the situation that he is in, coming off a loss, I wouldn't say on the back end of his career, but his good days are past him. He'd definitely come into this fight wanting something to prove to the boxing community that he still has it, and and I think simply because we both lost to Navarrete, my objective is to go in there and do a better job than Navarrete did.
Yeah, for sure.
and that was pretty good.
Yeah, man.
I'm always interested when we interview fighters. I want to know where the inspiration comes from. So, who are some of the fighters you look at that you've looked up at throughout your career or coming up as a kid? And are they Australian fighters? Are they American fighters? Who are the fighters that you pinpoint and say, I like how that guy moves. I want to be that guy inspires me. Who are some of those guys?
I've got 5 fighters. My first fighter was Joe Fraser. That's probably where my left hook came from. I'd always be on the heavy bag practicing slip, hook, just really strong on that left side. Marquez was my favorite for many, many years. I actually used to watch everything on YouTube on him, even his videos in Spanish. I didn't know what the hell he was saying, but I was pretty well addicted to him. Morales is another one. I can't even count how many times I've watched him versus Pacquiao, the first fight. But I reckon he's probably the most entertaining fighter for me, and I always recommend that fight to watch for anybody. Forget Gaddy Ward, watch Morales versus Pacquiao #1, and you'll be entertained. And my last one, actually I got 2 more. Mickey Ward, just his resilience, toughness. It's not my favorite fighters aren't always the world champions. It's what they're made of, and where they've come from, and just I think it's very inspiring and it's beautiful to see. And my fighter of recent years would be Sergey Kovalev. I love him.
That's a hell of a list.
What about that Mickey Ward body shot? The hook to the body.
Yeah. I actually used to practice that so much as a young kid. That was my money shot. My left rip to the body was my money shot.
All right. If you catch Valdez and knock him out, I'll make a short about it. But this should be a great. I am. You see, when we started the show and you see all these classic fights, Morales Barrera, like.
Yeah, it got me pumped. I was like,
yeah. So like, obviously, I'm sure you would take a easy knockout win any day, but that's not the way the sport works sometimes. But being in and the Navarrete fight was a really good fight, but for some reason I just think this is going to be even a better fight. I just believe it is.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to be like in a classic fight? Because you mentioned a lot of guys have been in classic bouts.
Yeah, man, I'm so pumped and excited for that. Like I agree with you there. Navarrete is a very awkward customer, and it's hard to make that fight happen. It's hard to make the toe-to-toe war. I don't know. He is a very awkward customer. So
he's awkward, right?
It's very hard to engage.
How was that to deal with that awkwardness?
He's very awkward. Like, I think for the first 6 rounds he was timid, or maybe he found me awkward, or maybe my power sort of kept him at bay. But yeah, he was poor. He was just his reach as well. Like when he dropped me, it wasn't a case of his power hurting me. It was just I didn't think that punch could even get me from where he was. He just lunges forward and very very hard to read what he's doing. But that comes with experience as well. I was inexperienced and he was experienced, so he kind of had the upper edge. I knew that going into the fight, but I came to Arizona to knock Navarrete out. It didn't matter what happened or who he was or where he's from. I didn't care what accomplishments he's already made. When we hopped in the ring, I was there for one job, and that was to win that fight. By all means, But yeah, for this fight, like I'm excited. I think I agree with you as well. I think it's gonna be a war. I'm tipping it will be, and we both got something to prove. And yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah, because he had that great win against Miguel Berchelt, and then they kind of put him in there with guys that they're good fighters, but Conceição was kind of negative in the fight. It just wasn't a good fight, and Stevenson kind of outclassed him, but again, he didn't engage. And then Navarrete, obviously, beat him, and Adam Lopez was kind of negative as well. But I think even Valdez, I'm sure, is looking forward to this fight because of the fact that I don't think you're going to be hard to find.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I think that goes for both of us. Like I said to a few people back home, my idols, Morales, Marquez, I'm essentially fighting the modern day era of them two. The Navarrete, Valdez, and I have so much pride in that. And I probably should have won the first fight with Navarrete, but we're gonna win this one.
Oshaki Foster in his last fight, he won, and I don't know if you're aware or not, but they asked him, who do you want to fight next? And he actually said, I want the winner of Valdez, Liam Wilson. Is that a fight that interests you?
It does, yeah. That's a fight that interests me. He's a world champion. Yeah, they're the fights I want. I don't really want any tune-up fights after this or any, stay busy fights. I just want a hard fight after hard fight. That's it. What's one more?
All right, you're on board with that, Glenn?
100%. That's we agreed straight after Navarrete that we would fast track Liam straight back to world title status, and that is the plan. So we took care of Jackson, England, and we'll take care of Valdez, and then we'll take care of Shaki Foster. So the plan is to come over there, and much like Tim, whoever is prepared to put their hand up and legitimately get in the ring will get the opportunity. We're not waiting around for anybody. It's just how we do business, and we've discussed this plenty of times between the three of us on your podcast that my style of management too is that these boys are fighters only for a very short time. Let's make the most within the parameters of health and welfare to get them the fights that they want. Now, that's part of the question that Joe asked earlier about the boys all in the one camp. For me, it made perfect sense. We have a great setup in Las Vegas with a great gym and great facilities. And for me, I wanted Liam to be in the same gym as Tim, and Nikita joins us tomorrow in the same gym, so that they all feed off each other's enthusiasm. Even though they don't see a lot of each other, it's a great feeling to walk in knowing that Tim Zoo's in the corner warming up and he's fighting a big fight, and Nikita's in the other corner doing his thing and he's coming back to fight a big fight in Australia, and Liam Wilson is walking in ready to start his session, and he's got a massive fight 24 hours before Tim. So it's the perfect camp arrangement. They all feed off each other's energy, and they all have the same agenda. These boys, they have one thing on their mind only, and that's to win and to keep on winning, and that's our formula. Stay busy, keep winning, and keep the fans happy.
So I just want to do a confession here, okay? But I'll come full circle with it. So when Navarrete versus Liam Wilson was first announced, right, when I first heard the announcement, and I know I was doing a show with Calix, and you have to forgive me, but I was like, who's Liam Wilson and why is Navarrete fighting him? Mm-hmm. Right? And I was like, and I just looked at the record. I'm like, well, he's fighting a guy who doesn't have a lot of fights. What's up with I was actually criticizing him and everything, and I did a whole skit about the movie Castaway, the volleyball with Wilson. And I was like, he's fighting Wilson. Like, what's going on, right? And then, I kid you not, so I actually, I went ahead and I looked you up.
You watched clips and that changed. You watched highlights. And
yeah, I was watching your clips, right? I'm watching, and I give Calix a call. I called him. I said,
you did.
Yeah, I think Navarrete is in a fight. Like, I think this is not like a walkover here. And people thought I was crazy. And they didn't think I was that crazy in round 4. I'll just say that. But so definitely you went from completely unknown in the United States. Nobody knew who you were, right?
Now people
I don't know who you were. I'm a diehard boxing fan. I don't know who you were.
Yeah.
You went from that to now they do know who you are, right? And you're on the biggest sports platform in the United States, ESPN Plus. You're going to be fighting Oscar Valdez.
Main event.
I mean, no pressure, but like, what does that mean for you? Like winning this fight, if you could put it into words, what does winning this fight mean to you?
Look, and because of that, what you just said, that's exactly why I'm here, putting in the hard work. I had a few reporters ask me back home in Australia, how do you feel going back to the Desert Diamond Arena back in Arizona? And I said, I wouldn't want it any other way. I want to go exactly back there. I want this fight there. I want to leave that place a winner this time. And for that, I'm putting in the hard work. I'm getting ready for March 29, and I take so much pride in my fighting style. I feel like the fans appreciate it. They have for many years, and they're going to do that again on March 29. I can't wait for it. It's going to be it's going to be something for me to look back on, and my kids to see. Like, I'm pumped. I'm really excited, and I can't wait for it.
Hey guys, there is a side to Liam Wilson that the American public probably don't know, and for most of Liam's career, he was somewhat considered an absolute brawler and a thug. There's a part of his DNA that lays deep within that when the going gets tough, Liam will come out and try and murder the guy opposite him. Not always to the greatest advantage in boxing, because as you know, sometimes when you go down that path, you expose yourself and you can easily get taken out of the equation. So Liam Wilson's been through a career where he comes from. His whole background and everything's a fighting background. He looks like the boy next door. I can assure you he's not. The persona and the way he speaks, and he comes across as this mild-mannered dude. I can assure you he's not. He is an absolute. The word thug, I used to say to him, I said, "You're a thug. You're a thug with great. You're a thug
Thug
with great
life.
boxing skills. Yeah, great boxing skills and great balance. And as an amateur, he showed that he was in an elite level as an amateur. He had. I remember saying to him the first time we sat down and spoke 5 years ago, I said, mate, you've got it all. You know, for someone so young, you've got it all. It's just got to come down to whether or not mentally you can learn to become the complete professional fighter, which is such a big step from the amateurs. And it comes into play that to be the complete pro fighter, you've got to be able to control that urge to want to tear someone's head off and potentially lose your composure and lose the fight. And Liam has fought with that and fought against that. And he's now matured to the point with the Navarrete fight and the Jackson England fight where even under duress, he still keeps his composure. So I'm really happy to say that he's shaped his career now, still a young man, to be a much more complete fighter. But make no mistake, there's a heart and a desire and an engine underneath that boy next door image that will shock a lot of people. And the Americans, I hope, get to understand and know who Liam Wilson is for that, because when you say he's fan friendly because he goes into that ring, and when that bell rings, he's out to destroy. He's not out to win. He wants to destroy. And that's the truth. I'm not fabricating anything there. And when you look at Tim and Nikita and Liam and some of my other fighters, they all have this similar trait. They live and breathe their craft. They're totally dedicated to it. They'll sacrifice the commitment to do it. And for them, losing is hurtful, but it's part of the journey. And I think you're going to see Liam Wilson and Oscar Valdez, and I think Valdez's people, and whilst he's got a wonderful corner, make no mistake, they bring a lot to the party. It's Liam Wilson and Oscar Valdez alone in there, and that's Oscar Valdez should be very, very aware that Liam Wilson won't take one backward step, and he's coming to win regardless. So I'm super excited for this one. I really am, and I love the fact that Liam answered you with, I had to go back to Desert Diamond Arena to right the wrongs. That's the only place I want it. That's what I'm talking about. He's the guy that says that, and he's the guy that means that. There's no fabrication with Liam. What you see in the ring is everything left, nothing spared. So it's going to be a fan-friendly fight, absolutely. And those two boys are going to go at it. And I think at the end of it, I think the one who has the most the greater skill set and the more power and the more maturity will walk out the winner. And that's how I see it for Wilson v Valdez.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been great having you on, gentlemen. This has been great. Liam Wilson, it's great to talk to you first time. Hope to have you back on. What do you want to say to? We actually have people that watch from Australia as well, all over the world. What do you want to say to everybody watching? And before we let you go,
Yeah, look, I'm in again in a really tough fight against a great champion in Valdez. Make sure everybody tunes in. I put my heart and soul into the sport. I put everything on the line when I hop in that ring. I always try and win. I don't try and tip tap and get through to the decision. I'm there to hurt and put on an exciting show for the fight fans of the whole entire world. So please tune in, and good things are going to come on March 29. Thank you.
sounds great. And Glenn, thanks for coming. Anything else
Good
you want
luck.
to say, Glenn, before we let you go?
Hey, look, Liam Wilson, March 29, Oscar Valdez, the start of a big weekend for me. Most likely a bloody private jet to get from Arizona back to Tim's fight in time. But the Aussie takeover is well and truly real, man. We're coming to bring it all home, and it doesn't matter who gets in our way. We're coming to bring it all home to Australia. So thank you to D-Style Boxing and Calix. You guys are always awesome to us. You give our Aussie fighters great exposure, and you play a big role in letting the American and our Mexican fan-friendly audience, who we have a lot of respect for, see just who we are and what we're about. And we hope what we're delivering meets their expectations, because we're fighters first. We want to fight. We want to fight lots of fighters and stay busy, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. So thanks again for having us on. We really appreciate it. Liam, I'll see you next week, mate. Look forward to catching up with you and getting stuck into what's left of our camp.
I'll see you then, mate. And thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
y'all.
definitely.
Good luck. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Well, there we go, Calix.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean, Liam Wilson getting ready to face Oscar Valdez, same arena, going back to the same spot.
Exercise the demons. That's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. As
Yeah,
soon
it
as
is.
it was announced, we were texting each other and said, that's going to be a fight of the year right there. That's going to be a fight of the year. But Glenn was talking, and he is a fight fans manager, right? We talk about a lot how American boxing managers sort of rub us the wrong way, right? Because it's over marination. It's steering your fighters clear of the danger. And we also talk about how we produce great talent here, but what we're not producing is action stars. We're not producing Arturo Gotti's, Mickey Ward's, and he was talking about those guys, right? Even Ruslan Provodnikov's, Michael Cassidy's. The only way to produce these guys is to put guys in fights and have guys willing to fight these fights. And it looks like Glen Jennings understands that, and not only understands that, hey, I want to build great champions, that I also want to build action stars. And these guys could turn out to be even more. They could turn out to be titleists and world champions, but we need action stars here. And the guys who come over here and do it, they're going to get support.
Joe, let me tell you something. Liam is like B Rabbit from 8 Mile, and
Yeah.
like, not that he choked the first time, but now he's back. And remember when B Rabbit was like complaining, because I'm not like you guys, I'm white, and the guy's like, hey, once they listen to you, to rap, like, that's how I feel about Liam Wilson. Like, once they watch you fight and how you bring it, win, lose, or draw, people are going to want to watch him again. There's no doubt in my mind, like none. Like that, it's point blank. Period. They're going to want to watch him again.
Yeah,
and I know you think he has a great shot to win.
I do.
Like, I think he has a shot to win too. I'm just unsure who I'm going to pick, but
It's an easier fight. I don't want to say it's an easy fight because we respect the hell out of Valdez too.
Sure.
I love watching Valdez fight. God, I love watching that dude fight. But it's a more straight up and down fight. And Valdez is welcoming this too, right? Because as you alluded to in the interview, he's been fighting sort of different styles and awkward styles.
Yeah.
Never that they you talked about Shakur Stevenson. That's just going to be a tough one to crack. Very defensive fighter and one of the best defensive fighters in the sport statistically. But this is going to be more of a straight up and down fight for both fighters, and they both load up on punches and they both want to knock your head off, and it's going to be a war. This is going to be a war, and I'm looking forward to this one.
This is going to be an absolute war. I can't wait for it. And by the way, thanks to the chat, man. You guys are great for tuning in. Boxing Kangaroo saying those like. I think all the evidence points that there was something up with those scales. The dude, monkeying with it, and he's like, "Why am I 4 pounds lighter?" Like, you just don't get that wrong. Like the whole thing is odd. So, but I just don't think that's going to be an issue anyway. Like Valdez isn't a big 130 pounder, so.
And I'm glad you talked about how you did a full 180 on Liam Wilson before the fight, because I remember that conversation. You calling me and then talking about it on the show is this guy can fight. This guy can fight. There's going to be a fight. And I'm like, no, now that day's going to be fine. And it ended up being a fight, and he made his impression. It's a perfect example of, even if you lose, you make an impression on the audience and you come right back, and it's fine. It's fine.
Liam Wilson. I mean, I think he's the number one Liam in the sport right now. I think he overtook Liam Smith, right?
Yeah.
At this point, who's the number one Liam in the sport, ladies and gentlemen? I think Wilson's got the spot. He's the number one pound for pound Liam in the sport. I'm just saying.
They got some Liams out there in the boxing world.
Just like I'm the number one pound for pound dude named Eric, and that talks boxing anywhere. Like I just believe that's, no offense to Eric Lorda, but it is what it is.
He's gonna take offense.
But shout out to Beeb and all those guys, man. Great stuff. All those guys, like two guys, same two dudes. But it's those two guys, man. But
shout out to them. Great show.
Well, Team Batman, I said the number one Liam pound for pound. Okay. Like, who is there? Just him and Smith, right? That I know of. I don't know.
There's several Liams, and there's several Callums too.
Callums and Liams. Man.
Yeah.
By the way, is it that crazy to think that he could beat Cordina? I don't. I think Liam Wilson has a shot against Cordina. I think I do, like a realistic shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like, if anything, like, if he gets past Valdez, he's gonna get a title shot.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Oh yeah.
And
but even if it's an action fight that he loses, he's going to be called to come back, because you're going to have boxing fans wanting him to come back. That's what we're looking at here.
Even his fight in Australia against English was good. I mean,
and that's why it's a big opportunity for him, because I can't see how this fight doesn't deliver entertainment wise. I can't envision a scenario in which it doesn't deliver.
Yeah. I think what you might have a point with Wilson winning before we move on. Valdez, and I don't know, it may have been the style he was fighting. I want to make sure people understand this. He was fighting guys that even though Navarrete, we both know, is not negative, but he is awkward. He's right?
Super awkward.
So he went from an awkward guys that are very defensive minded. Concecal fought. I wish Concecal fought the way he fought Navarrete against Valdez. But fought very negative in that fight. So maybe it has to do that. But the high guard that Reynoso has his fight with, I don't want to say exposed, because his fighters are still winning, but it seems to me like fighters are kind of figuring out that with activity and movement, you could offset that. But in Wilson's case, that's not really his style. So who knows? We might see more output from Valdez. What I'm trying to say in this fight, because stylistically, it's going to ask for it, and he may need to do that in order to get Wilson off of him. Because another thing, College, Wilson was bigger than Navarrete in their fight. At the weigh-in, so that's a big size difference against Valdez. It really is.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it. And Valdez loads up on shots. That's why I was asking, like, what does he see when he watches Valdez fight? Because we've talked about this. He gets low and he loads up on those shots as you're coming forward. So Valdez is gonna land some monstrous shots, and if Liam's able to take those and walk straight through them, we got ourselves a war.
And then I forgot, I was going to ask, I completely forgot just to get his opinion on it, but not that it matters. But have you even seen when they talk about this fight on ESPN? Have you noticed something?
What's that?
In the graphics? They only show Valdez. they just show Valdez like posing with it, like you know what I mean. But there's no picture of Wilson. It's almost like they're just setting it up as like a comeback fight for Valdez, routine win to get his confidence back. That's kind of how I think ESPN's looking at this, and that's a must. I hope Valdez isn't looking at it that way.
Good luck.
Like, don't think this is an easy comeback. Let me just take care of this dude to get my confidence back up type of fight. Because I don't know if it's that type of fight, bro. I think you have a fight in your hands, the way I see it. So we'll see.
I think so too.
I'm looking forward to the fight, and we'll keep it moving. All right, Calix, I know you're not a press conference guy, but did you get a chance to see the any of the clips, anything regarding the press conference today with Haney and Ryan Garcia?
I saw the highlights on Twitter, and I also saw that they did big numbers. People were showing like screenshots of the numbers that the press conference was doing on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. And on top of that, I saw these guys were on First Take. I saw that Ryan Garcia was on the Breakfast Club. I saw that they did a face-off after the fight that they're going to air later on. So the marketing is there for this. Ryan Garcia is clearly still, the market is still attached to him. It is. And some people may not like hearing that because he's seen as sort of this YouTube star and this Instagram star and this crossover appeal and stuff like that. And if he continues to lose fights like this and not look good, then that'll eventually go away, right? But it's clear that the market is attached to him, and you see the reception that they received today. Eddie Hearn is outside the press conference, and the people that are lined up are just going insane like he's a movie star. Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn's just enjoying it, and I'm saying this is why they put this fight in New York. People were questioning this. Even Ryan Garcia was questioning it. This is why they put this fight in New York. We talk about things that people are thirsty and hungry for as boxing fans, action stars, etc., right? But that New York market has been thirsty for fights like this for a while. That market has kind of gone defunct, right? It's kind of dried up. And Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney may be the fight to bring that back. But as far as these guys, what I saw was Ryan Garcia making up with Bernard Hopkins, which seemed kind of corny and forced, right? But at least they're on the same page. And I think Ryan is reading the room. I think he's looking at the landscape of boxing and realizing that, you know, maybe, just maybe I need to start listening to these old heads, and maybe, just maybe other outfits are sort of losing their luster a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But they seem to have nailed this press conference.
Look, it was a good look. Just to compare, I mean, like first, it was a good press conference, but that shit we saw last month.
Nah, that ain't it.
Bro, that looked like, no offense to myself, but it looked like I put together that press conference. Like, it looks like they called D-Style Boxing and they're like, hey, man, in 2 hours, we need you to set up this press conference. And I just got
talking about, for people who are confused, you're talking about the PBC press conference.
My apologies. Yes, to be more specific, I'm talking about the Tim Tszyu, Keith Thurman press conference.
Like Tim Tszyu deserves way better than what he's getting.
Like, here's the thing. It's almost like they called me. Right, D-Style, well, we need you to set up with a 2-hour notice, and I just went to Walmart and bought like 2 folding tapes.
Yeah,
and I found some old stand and shit from an old gymnasium, and she just put it up there.
It was bad.
It wasn't good. Okay, like I'm sorry, it just wasn't. I don't know what that was about. Anyway.
As corny as people think that Ryan and Devin are, and when you see them talk trash, it is corny. It's like you kind of cringe, right? It's corny. Yeah. They're corny. They're not the best trash talkers. It's corny, right? But they nailed this. They to me, I'm just seeing the reaction to it and seeing how people react to it and the numbers that it's doing and the type of shows that they're on. And these, I don't know if you thought about this, and I tweeted it. I was like, My God, imagine being Raleigh Romero, and if he was smart enough to actually see this, right? And he's seeing these guys on First Take this morning. First Take on ESPN. Is that the most popular sports show in America? It may be. Does huge ratings. And he was talked out of fighting Ryan Garcia to fight Isaac Cruz. And he could have been sitting across from Ryan Garcia, him on First Take, him on the Breakfast Club. And instead, it's just, good Lord. That's one of the thoughts that came to my mind. I don't know if that came to your mind.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that comes to mind. Look, very well organized. One side note, I can't stand Mauricio, bro. Like there's something about Mauricio Sulu. Oh, did you hear anything of what he said? Did you hear him?
I didn't, but he's just
so. This is what he said, and it's not. Well, let me first say what he said, and I'll explain to you what my problem with it is. This is a big fight, important for boxing, and I want to give a special thanks to Sander Martin, a great fighter who understood the big importance of this fight, and for not I guess I forgot how he worded it, but basically he's thanking the guy for stepping aside and letting the fight happen, and not like insisting that he gets his shot, even though he's earned it, right? Mm-hmm. Here's my problem with it. We already have promoters, dude. Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins. That's their job and role in the fucking sport. They already have the managers looking out for them and all that. That's not your job. You're not a promoter. Mm-hmm. You don't like, what the fuck are we doing here? You're supposed to be doing the opposite. That's the only reason the sanctioning bodies exist, is to look out for the little guy. And so the little guy gets his shot because politics get in the way of things. You're supposed to be colliding against the politics. What are we doing here?
And he's not.
And he makes like special belts for big events, and he like the whole thing is stupid, bro. If you're a big star, it gives you more leeway. Like anyone who thinks he's gonna strip Canelo, are you crazy? He ain't gonna strip Canelo. He hasn't even stripped Jamal.
Yeah.
Why? Because Jamal's, in his mind, will eventually fight, and he'll give him a big 3%. That's really what it comes down to. If Joe Calix was the welterweight champion of the world, he would have stripped Calix 2 years ago. No offense, Calix. You know what I mean? I mean, you do wear hats after all.
That's right.
I mean, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But look, what the fuck's going on?
I need to stop wearing my hats, by the way.
Like, I don't know. It is what it is. And then Nike? I mean, what's going on right now? But I don't know, man. I don't understand why but that's whatever. The chair was corny, but it, like you said, it worked. It works, weird. Like, man. The corniness is working.
It works.
I couldn't believe what I'm like, this is working.
It is.
I thought Bill was great. A lot of people didn't like Bill, and I thought he was great. I don't know what the beef with him and Hopkins is. And Bill, don't act tough. Like you're gonna square up against Hopkins. Stop.
They almost got it. Yeah, Hopkins asked him to go to the bathroom or something like that.
Oh.
He asked him at one of the fights. So yeah.
That's what Cal's gonna do with some dudes when he sees them in person. Like, hey man, meet me in the bathroom.
Take the hat off.
Yo, but what do you mean? Meet me in the bathroom? What the fuck? Why not meet me outside? Like the bathroom? Is that like a thing? Like in Philadelphia or something? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Maybe he spent too much time in prison. I don't know. Like meet me in the showers. Like anyway, all bullshit aside though, like come on, bro. Like Hopkins is a former middleweight champion of the world. Like Bill, like stop. You're not going to square up with Hopkins, bro. Okay, it is what it is. But nonetheless, Who knows? Maybe it's all planned, and it's, I don't know. I doubt it, but it looks real to me. I think the beef is real.
Yeah.
Did you catch anything of what Hopkins said?
I did not. The only Hopkins stuff that I caught was when Ryan walked up to him and they made amends. So,
Well, here's the thing, Alex. You didn't listen to what you didn't hear what Hopkins said. A lot of us did, but nobody knows what Hopkins said. Like, it was just, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about, bro. Like I just don't. I'm like, what? I don't know what he was talking about. I just don't. If anybody knows what the fuck Hopkins was talking about, let us know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what the hell he was on.
Nobody's gonna take him off the microphone.
Yeah, the thing that's important is that these two fighters, the importance of it is that these two guys, they're not kids, they're men. Men. And listen to this now. They're getting ready to fight. Like, sit down, bro. Like, what the fuck's going on right now? I don't get it. And then the lawyer's reading off a piece of paper. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
The lawyer's like, he's like this. Yeah, so Ryan Garcia's going to be fighting Devin Haney. And next up to the stand is Bill Haney from Devin Haney Promotions. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Eddie, as always, smooth operator in the mic, and then he triggered Ryan because he said, "I think this guy's unbeatable." He's being a promoter, obviously. No, he's not, Eddie. Everybody's beatable, Eddie. Like, it's just like, shut up, Ryan. You know what I mean? Just I don't know. It's whatever. And Ryan said he would retire if Haney knocked them out in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna retire. And by the way, yes, while Hopkins was speaking a language nobody knows, Ryan cut him off and said, hey, can we squash the beef? And they said, we don't have beef. And then they hugged anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
I okay, I guess. What was the beef to begin with?
It was all stemming from before the Tank fight, and then after the Tank fight, and all that stuff.
In fairness to him, he was not allowed it. He was kicked out by Tank's team, so that's why he wasn't there, Ryan. But anyway, it is what it is. Great. It was a good press conference, but that's that. With all that said, let's talk about Canelo, because that's the big news of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Rafael reports, right, by the way, really quick, DJJ 1551, shout out to you, brother. That's $50 Australian, my mate, hooking it up.
Don't do this. Don't do it.
I have a couple of beers on me, boys. I'll send Calix half of it. There we go. So most definitely, we love our Australians out here. You know what I mean?
You'll be out there. You'll be out there fight week with the boys, huh?
More likely, yes. So I'm looking forward to that. And Glendale doesn't look possible, but it is what it is. I wanted to go there, and after this interview, like I really want to see that fight. By the way, I think it's the better fight.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
But and then you have that Sinisa fight with that other girl, Valle, which is for undisputed. That's another great fight. So, which I think is going to be a great fight too. That's going to be some good. Whoever's going to that event, you're in for something, man. Those are two great fights, and we appreciate it, brother. Shout out to everybody out there over in Australia. You know, I am honorary Australian. Just want to put that out there, mates. I reckon. Anyway. Calix is like, I'm done with this. I don't know. I can't do no more. But, hey, Calix, I know you had a lot of thoughts about this Canelo thing, and you touched on a lot of it earlier today. Benavidez not in the mix. Apparently was never part of the 3-fight contract, apparently. And apparently, according to Dan Rafael, according to him, Canelo was offered the Jamal fight with the condition that he fights David Benavidez in September, and Canelo said no, right? Which is really adding fuel to the fire with people saying Canelo is ducking. He's ducking and dodging, they're saying. You know what I mean? And that's adding fuel to that fire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Please don't say Australia anymore. Hey, I'm just saying, bro. You know what I mean? I roll with a lot of Australians. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think we're all shocked that Benavidez. I don't understand the conflict of interest and how nobody's talking about this, because the big story here is the macro issue.
Yeah.
And the macro issue is, how does the PBC continue to get away with using certain fighters as platform protection or as pawns to get big name fighters over towards them? And in Benavidez's case, he's being used as a pawn to get Canelo over to the PBC, right? We all saw that. And we talked about it during the time, is none of these guys are fighting each other. So none of their stocks are rising. They're not active. They're not fighting the proper fights in order to become stars, right? And it's being just passed off by American boxing journalism as fine and okay. But Benavidez is obviously used as one of the pawns to get Canelo over. And I'm beside myself when I hear this reporting as a boxing fan, because the PBC uses David as the pawn and then doesn't put him on the contract on paper as one of the 3 fights. And furthermore, because the public is thinking, we're all thinking that Benavidez has to be a part of this 3-fight plan. He has to be. He has to be, right? And while we're doing this whole thing since last summer, when Canelo fights Mel, what is Benavidez's team doing? Oh, they're ducking. They're ducking. Samson with his 27 gold chains, right? And then Jose Sr. over here, Canelo's ducking, Canelo's ducking, Canelo's ducking. And then May, when we talk about May, and these names are being thrown out, and Benavidez is in one of them, Benavidez's team saying, we offered him this and we offered him that. And their name is not on the contract. Their name is not on the Canelo 3-fight contract. How is this possible? What is going on with that team? Why did they make this so confusing? If you're being used for leverage to get a guy, a big fish over there, and I understand why Al would do that, right? Al's going to tell Canelo whatever he wants to hear and pander to him. He even made Canelo the 2023 PBC Fighter of the Year, which was absurd, but he did it. I understand why he would pander and pander and pander, right? But if you're Benavidez, this is also, and this is the tough part about it and why nobody wants to address it, is Al Heyman is obviously working as a manager and promoter. But when he puts on his promoter hat, he's doing things that negatively affect the fighters that he's managing. That's the conflict of interest. And if you're Benavidez and if you're Morrell Jr., you have to be asking yourself, why am I not getting the fights? All of us are under the same tent. We're all under the same tent. Morrell Jr. has to be asking himself, why can't I get the Benavidez fight? What's he going to do? Fight Vodzik? Why? He's not going to fight one of the Russians after that. Why is he fighting Vodzik instead of me? Why is he fighting an Eddie Reynoso fighter over a guy, me, who's in Benavidez's stable? Morrell Jr. has to be asking himself, I have access to all these guys and they're using me. Why? By saying, I'm too high risk, low reward. Well, I wouldn't be. That risk would come down as I fight better competition because I would look more vulnerable. And my reward, the reward would get higher because I'm fighting meaningful fights at this point, right? But he's not getting fights with other PBC fighters, Morrell Jr. And on top of that, they're not announcing his fights till 7-8 days before the fights. They're not even promoting him. Morrell Jr. needs to be asking tough questions to his management. Benavidez needs to be asking tough questions to his management. Why am I not on the contract? It's already bad enough I dropped my belt twice, right? But I'm making up for it. But the first time was my fault. The second time, it's our fault as a team. We're supposed to be on the same page. You used me to get this guy over here, and now you don't even deliver the fight. Why? Because you didn't corner this guy on paper. It's sad.
And here's what I'll say. In the end, this is the reality, guys. Al Heyman did not deliver Canelo to David Benavidez. That's just the reality. That's just the truth of the matter, bro. All right, just like if you're a NFL coach and you get a football player, you expect him to deliver whatever that is, right? You expect him to deliver. You hire a coach, you expect him to deliver. Either they do or they don't. The reality is, Al Heyman is a definition of you had one job. Like literally. You couldn't deliver. So and this is why this is important. We keep hearing, no. Canelo needs to go over there. He's the free agent, go over there. Right? And a lot of these fighters at PBC, they stay loyal to PBC with the promise of, no, he's going to deliver. Look at what he did for Spence. He worked with Floyd. So how do you not trust the process, right? Look at Tank. Eventually got his big fight against Ryan. So stay the course. And no matter how it looks, no matter how much greener the grass looks on the other side, stay right here because we got you, okay? Well, guess what? The grass came and the grass left.
It left. And more grass is leaving. I can tell you that. I know more grass is leaving. So get ready for it.
He basically, so what I'm saying is, so what's your incentive of being loyal to Al Heyman for? What's the incentive if he couldn't deliver the fight for you? It is what it is. He couldn't deliver, bro. He had him locked in. He gave him Jermel instead. Bro, there's no doubt in my mind, like if they would have just negotiated a one-fight deal, they could have done that Benavidez fight. There's no doubt in my mind if Benavidez was willing to go over to the zone, that fight could have happened. And as crazy as it sounds, I've always said, I think the fight's more likely to happen outside of PBC than in PBC. Because, and we talked about this, they're going to use him as leverage to get him on a multi-fight deal. That's what they did. Now, a lot of these reports, we're just taking, it's what they're saying. I don't believe that, Rafael. I'm just going to be honest with you. Or he's just getting information. I have reason to believe. Circumstantial evidence has me believing that Rafael's source is Stephen Espinosa.
Him from the PBC side. And that's what I'm saying is this is a disaster for the PBC. Even this press release that is dressed up as a news article, right? Or breaking news coming from a source. Even that, which is being put out to try to make this look better for the PBC, makes them look worse because they want you to. And I saw a dude send you this article highlighting that Canelo refused to fight. That's what they wanted you to focus on. And they want you now to focus on Benavidez is ducking Canelo's ducking Benavidez, Morrell Jr.'s Benavidez ducking Morrell. They want you doing that right now, right? When instead we need to focus. We need to focus right now on what's important. And what's important is the PBC is an utter disaster. And Al Heyman is running conflict of interest campaigns out there. And he's not doing right by his fighters. These are dudes who are putting their lives on the line, getting hit in the face, brain damage. And Al Heyman is not doing right by them. Rolly Romero was one of them. There is no way, dude. You watched this today, D-Style. You watched the press conference. You watched these dudes on First Take. You watched them on the Breakfast Club. You watched all these shows, and Rolly should be there instead of Devin. Had his team done right for them. Instead, they're using him as a sacrificial lamb to build a card that nobody's going to watch on their network. He's on the undercard fighting Isaac Cruz, who if he was 2 inches shorter, he'd be a perfect circle. That's what's going on right now. And Benavidez is being used, and he's not even benefiting from being used because despite how these dudes want to slice it, and they're going to try to dress it up to where it doesn't look bad for the PBC, but I got news for you. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse for the PBC.
I want to see these guys. I want to see these guys get more active, and like in a term they use a lot, like on the road to the playoffs and other sports like NFL, like put yourself in a position where you control your own destiny.
Yep.
Okay. Do teams make the playoffs because another team fumbles it and loses and they just happen to get in by the skin of the teeth, even with a terrible record, of course. However, you'll rather be in a position where you're controlling your own destiny. David has done that to a certain degree, but his team has really not delivered. Samson's out here capping, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh
The
my
dude's
God.
capping. It's all cap, like Calix with a cap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. Like, dude, the dude is like out here saying, we all fed that $50 million. Like, if Samson had $50 million on him to give Canelo,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be going through all this shit, bro.
They upped it to 70, by the way. There was a report 70 earlier.
$70. We only take $5 million.
This is terrible. Look, I got news for the Canelo haters out there. And look, Canelo's got to deal with this himself. He's the one making the money. We're not here out here defending Berlanga. And just like we were going to shit on the Mall fight, we're going to shit all over the Berlanga fight like birds on a windshield, right? But this is terrible for PBC. And it's good, dude. Bad things are coming for that organization. I'm going to tell you that right now. Remember this. But with Canelo, he's going to power through this. And he's going to tell Benavidez at some point, you got to come over here. We're not doing the Caleb Plant thing. And if Benavidez, what he needs to do, if he's allowed to do it, is say, I am willing to go to the zone. And if he says that, Canelo, we're back to square one. Canelo is cornered again. If he doesn't want to fight that fight, guess what? He's cornered again because you and I are going to say, you got to fight that fight. He's willing to come over here. You got to fight that fight. I actually think it's more... It's more likely it happens. I agree with you now that we have a reset and Canelo hit the reset button and that's what he's done here. But Chris Algieri's take on this was money. And he had a logical take on this. He's saying we're 33% through this. This is effectively what he's saying, this deal with Canelo. And they pull back on him. No, there's contract integrity, right? Anybody who's in the business world, like I'm looking at this morning, I'm like, how can somebody get away with running a business this way? The conflict of interest, the pulling back on people halfway, not even halfway through a contract and saying, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And we want you to fight this fight and we want you to fight on a lower scale per minimum. And then if you do that, maybe we'll do, no, and Canelo's looking at this dude and he's like, I'm not going to fund your little GoFundMe business here. I'm not going to do this. I know how badly you need me. We're not going to play this game. You're going to live up to the contract or you're not, or I'm out. And that's what he did. And Chris Algieri gives a logical take. He's like, nobody is going to look at that and say that's okay. Contract integrity matters. And this is my ultimate point is this is a huge bat signal now. And this is why it's terrible for the PBC is other fighters are looking at this. Other managers are looking at this and saying, if they're going to do this to Canelo Alvarez, D-Style, we're talking about not a big boxing star. This dude is on the level up there. He's on the Forbes list for the love of God. He's up there with LeBron. He's up there with Messi. He's up there with Ronaldo. This is what we're talking about. If this dude who's a hermit from Ohio is willing to play these games with Canelo, these boxers and the managers are looking at this like, what do you think he's going to do to me? If he's willing to use Benavidez as bait to get Canelo over there and not even put the dude on the contract on paper, and while they're doing this, Samson is out there with his 27 gold chains, and Jose is out there and he's saying the quiet part out loud that this dude's got a $5 million minimum per fight. Good luck. Good luck paying that dude $5 million minimum fighting the Vodziks of the world. They're experiencing pain over there. Pain. But they didn't deliver. How do you... D-Style, we talked about this when I'm getting this news 2 weeks ago. There's no way, dude. There's no way this is true because I even put it past the PBC to drop the Canelo bag. There's just no way. And they did it. They did it. And the stuff I'm hearing now that's coming, how is this possible? How did they do this? And the beauty of it is, I'm glad Canelo did it. And they're going to brainwash you into thinking since Canelo left this deal that the Benavidez fight is impossible. It's not. It's not impossible.
You hear that, Alex? Whoop, whoop.
Benavidez can come right over to the zone because we're told all the time that's how it works, right? The A side dictates the terms. Canelo hits the reset button, and I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he hit this reset button, and I'm tired of people pretending that the PBC is great, number one, or that they're a net positive. I would go further than saying they're a net negative. They're a cancer that needs to be getting rid of, weeded out. And I'm cheering. I'm happy. I was so ecstatic yesterday. The birds were chirping a little chirpier. They were singing beautiful songs. The sky was a little more blue. It was a beautiful day for me, and I was cheering. And I'm not going to have these dudes, these little pretend business dudes out there saying, why are they cheering? Don't they know that an outfit going out of business is terrible for... No, I don't. It's addition by subtraction. Get rid of these dudes. Get these fighters onto other platforms. Get these fighters into other organizations that are going to value them and try to make them stars. Don't you dudes understand who continue to blame the boxing fans for this stuff? That we're stealing, that we're thieves, that we don't understand, that we're flat earth guys, that we wear hats to cover up our bald spots. Don't they realize that it's not our fault? We're just telling you what works. We're telling you, because nobody knows better than us, how you produce more of us. We're telling you the reason that we know guys like us, a ton of them, who left. And they're leaving because of you, not because of us. You have less people to sell to because of you, not because of us. It's not because people are thieves. It's not because people are dumb. They're actually smart. They're smart. They left. They're saying, dude, we don't need this. We can go anywhere else. I can go watch football. I can go watch basketball. I don't need that. I don't need to be preached down to by people who are destroying the sport. And I need people to understand this too, because I've had several people do this to me the past 24 hours.
Sir,
I'm in the business of boxing, and I know.
Sir.
Don't you realize I've talked about the boxing fans who go over to UFC fans and brag about how much their fighters make, and they don't care. They look at you like an alien. They don't care. They're too busy enjoying a sustainable sport. It's the same thing with these boxing business guys, right? Is they'll hit you up on Twitter and say, what deals are you structuring? You don't understand the business of the sport. I've been in the business, dude. Don't you realize that when you tell us boxing fans who watched a mass exodus of American boxing fans, when you tell us that you're an American power broker, even if you have no power, even if you're one of these dudes making like 3 figures per month in the boxing business, it's not a flex. We actually look at you the opposite. We look at you like you're a dummy. You're part of the reason that this mass exodus is happening. Stop blaming us. Stop blaming us. And stop wondering why people like me, I'm not going to put you in this, people like me are excited and jubilant when the Showtime guys go out of business. And PBC looks like it's in a lot of trouble from what I'm hearing.
A lot of people are dancing on PBC's grave, like Rick Glacier's dancing on the grave.
Yep.
A lot of people are doing it, but for some reason, like certain people don't say anything to Rick Glacier. I wonder why. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, so... Like here's the thing, and some do, but now me, I'm not exactly like, I'll be honest, I'm not exactly like giddy about it. I do think there's some negatives about it, to be honest. But overall, I understand the point, and I also understand that sometimes things are necessary. Okay.
Yep.
This is the same mentality that the government had with the whole too big to fail bullshit. Okay, with the banks, they can't fail, and then who wrote up the bills? The banks. Like we can't fail. We got to help you because we're the ones. You never ran a bank before. Well, you ran it to the fucking ground. Like, what do you mean? Like that? It's the same old thing.
It's a great comparison.
And guess what, Calix? Guess what? I don't need to be in the business to know if something's a shit product. Okay, if I get a play, if somebody serves me some food, okay, and it tastes like shit, and it's not what I expected. I don't give a fuck if I'm not a chef and I don't go to chefing school and I'm not in the back cooking and I never prepared a steak before, and which I have, but let's say I haven't. It doesn't matter. Okay, if a car's not running good, if it's not turning on, you're not a mechanic. What do you know about cars running, not running? Like I know it's not running, dude. Like, what do you mean? You know, like this whole thing is stupid, bro.
It's a great comparison. The bank thing, though, it's perfect. I wish I would have came up with it. It's perfect because these dudes will say, Leonard Ellerby will tell me this all the time. You don't understand what it's like. And Stephen Espinosa, you don't understand what it's like to work with a network. Neither do you, apparently. Because the dudes have run through, what is it now, 11 networks? And they're on their 12th? So apparently you're not doing a good job of it either.
But if you want insiders, you want, who do we talk to? Blah, blah, blah. First of all, me and Calix do talk to insiders.
Yeah.
All the time. A lot of the real ones, they don't go on the internet bragging about their insiders, or they wouldn't be insiders, to quote Christine. Okay?
Yeah.
But that's just the reality, okay? How about people that have worked in the business? Lyndon, he's been a promoter before, Olympic boxer. Roberto Diaz, matchmaker. He was on the round table, kicking it, talking boxing with us. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Ernesto Amador, who talks personally, at a personal level, to both camps, like the dudes, not the dude that knows the dude that they heard something. No, like Eddie. How are you, Eddie? Like that.
Ernesto's the dude to be following right now. I can tell you that.
Okay, so and it doesn't stop there. So my point is, I'm just like you just said. I'm trying to go to Ernesto Amador to see what he says.
That's all I got to do.
Like point blank, period. All right. Because there's like when he said Vosic's going to fight Benavidez, someone in the chat, are they really going to fight? Well, whether they fight or not, I don't know. But is it serious? And have they signed? Yes. You know what I mean? So like, yes. And there was a report, and he talked to both camps personally, right? And they even told him, why haven't you broken the news? You knew about it 5 days ago. He said, because you haven't signed yet.
Yeah.
That's a responsible dude. Like, I'm not going to go out there and just say it, like, before the shit's official. Are you crazy? What do you change your mind? Then I look stupid, right? That is smart, okay, at the end of the day. So spare me this whole, like, how do you know that? Because we just talked to like a dude that works in the business in Glen Jennings. I'll just ask him. Like, it's not that hard, bro. Like what are you doing? Why do people think it's some, like, special thing? Like, they make it sound, it's like you got to go 8 years to college to master this boxing thing or something. Like nah, bro. Like dudes with no degrees and dudes in other that failed in other areas of business are in boxing.
They're looking for alibis, bro.
Victor Conte has not won it anywhere. So, like, the only place that welcomes him with open arms is this fucking sport of boxing.
Yeah,
that's it.
Memo Heredia, same thing.
Yeah, well, like I don't give a fuck like what this is, bro. Like, it's whatever to me.
They do this stuff to look for alibis and diffuse the situation, right? It's, we can't do this because of this X, Y, Z, and they know nobody can get in the boardroom and check this. But all we have to do is read the between the lines, and all we have to do is check the stats, bro. Leonard told you there's only 200,000 of us left in America. Whose fault is that? It's not us. It's not us. You're worried about people stealing fights. Dude, there's only 200,000 of us left in the whole country, and it's because you're running them out the door. I don't need to be in boardrooms to know that. I just have to do simple math. It's you're running people out, and you're running people out for a specific reason. And I know that because one thing I do specialize in is being an outsider boxing fan. And just a boxing fan. And I know what boxing fans want. I know this. If you're going to claim that we don't know what's going on and we don't know how to run the business of boxing, and when, you know, what the Leonard Ellerbys and Stephen Espinosas tell us, right, is you just don't know what it's like being us. You don't know what it's like being us either. You don't know what it's like being a boxing fan and watching you put on shit card after shit card after shit card and dumb down the market so bad that these dudes thought 2023 was the greatest year in boxing in 20, 30 years. Are you insane? Are you insane? And you expect us to look at what's going on right now and thinking that, dude, D-Style, any other outfit has one fight, one card in the first quarter of a month.
We're not going to look back at that year and say, what a great year. We're not. Like, we're
There's
just
no
not.
way.
Like Canelo Jermel. You think people are going to be talking about that fight? Like, oh my God, that was a great fight. Like Tank versus Ryan just isn't going to age well. It just isn't.
Tank
Especially
versus Hector Luis Garcia.
like that's not going to age well either. But the Ryan fight, especially after what Devin Haney does, what he's about to do to him, and like it's not going to age well. And then the other one, like great performance by Crawford, but it was a one-sided fight.
It's a mismatch.
You know, so people will look back and be like, damn, remember when Crawford fucked up Errol Spence? That's the one thing they are going to highlight about the year. But they're not going to look at it and say, man, what a year. It wasn't a bad year by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like the way people were talking about it was just a little over the top, in my opinion.
A little?
And we got to we also got to look at boxing, not just from a top heavy standpoint, but all across the board. Right.
Yep.
And it's just not doing good across the board, bro. Like it just is what it is. Like I just like in the U.S. I'm not talking about the worldwide market. I'm talking about the U.S. Right, and that's just a reality, bro. Like, and look, I'm not even here, bro. I'm not even going to argue with people about my opinion. By the way, I'll discuss with people. If people want to disagree with my opinion, that's fine. But like, I'm not here to like one up people and I was right, you were wrong, and you don't know anything, I know everything, or like that's not even what this is about. But one thing
why are these business guys out here? And shout out to the good ones, right? Glen Jennings. I think Tom Loeffler's another one who has hit me up, and he seems like a great guy, keeping his fighters active and whatnot. But why are these business guys so condescending to boxing fan? What other market does this to their customers? They just
like there isn't another market, and they have even Steven Espinosa specifically. Do you remember the Garcia guy, the first guy? What was his name again? The first Garcia, the tank fight.
Hector Luis.
I'm sorry. Hector Luis Garcia. They put out pay-per-view. And he's bitching and complaining about fans thinking that's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. He's like, oh, you guys don't know anything. It's a real fight, a real fight card. And these so-called fans are complaining about it. Like, calm down, bro. Like, it wasn't pay-per-view worthy. Like, it's all we were saying. And instead of listening to the consumer, right, instead of doing that, and instead of saying, you know what, I got to listen to the consumer just like any other business does, he instead downplays the boxing fan and has gone as far as to convince certain individuals that boxing fans shouldn't be listened to because boxing fans steal everything. They don't watch anything, and they're not even considered in the market, right? Everyone don't listen to the boxing fans. They don't have a say because they're all stealing everything. Steven Espinosa has convinced people that in order to explain why he was such a failure with Showbox, why he was such a failure with most of his boxing cards on Showtime, because nobody watched them. They had extremely low ratings. So instead of saying we could have done better, it's the boxing fans' fault because they didn't watch and they could have watched, but they don't support and they're all stealing it. You're assuming people were just stealing a lot of those cards. They just weren't watching, brother. Like, it is what it is. And the only ones that actually watch are the ones you're scolding.
Yes. And the dudes that they're assuming, they're doing this weird voodoo math and assuming that if 200,000 people steal the fight, right, those are 200,000 people who would have bought the fight.
Calix, Calix, you know what I do for a living. Okay. You know I have numbers. And I know that's a crock of shit. Yep. So like, if people want to talk about being an insider, being in the business, well, that's a business side I'm in, and I know they're full of shit. Okay? When people fail at things, they tend to, instead of looking at the mirror and saying, what can I do better, right? What can I do better as a content creator? What can I do better as a lawyer, as a whatever you do in life? What can I do better as a businessman? right? As an executive of a sports network, what can I do better? What can I have done better, right? People that don't want to take ownership, they tend to pass it on.
Yep.
Because that's what they do. All right. Oh, I did everything right. I cater to the boxing fans, but they're stealing everything. So that's why we didn't succeed. So that's the reason, right? So don't look at us to fix it because it's the fans' fault. They're the ones that are stealing everything, right? Well, that's very convenient, right? That's very that looks like you're passing on like the buck to somebody else. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like to me.
Stop being so condescending to people who are just giving you, and some of it may be brash, some of it may be ugly, but they're giving you feedback, and they're telling you we don't want this. And forgive me, or don't, for being happy when I see an outfit that has been giving us such a low percentage of what we want for years and is the face of, and B brought this up. B brought it up eloquently in his 2-minute, 18-second clip that people were, that went viral on Twitter, is Mayweather is the face of this. And the PBC has become the face of, we're not going to make any other promotional outfit rich. Mayweather has said this numerous times. And I'm sure him and Al talk about, we're not going to make anybody else rich. We want to do what's best. We want to keep everything in house. The marination, the over marination, it's all terrible for the sport. So addition by subtraction. And on top of that, D-Style, it's the condescending thing. That makes it even easier to cheer against these dudes, because contrast what you just said with how Glenn reacts to questions and some criticism. Is you, in one of our interviews with Glen Jennings, just straight up asked him, this pay-per-view may not go over well, and there's a lot of criticism over this pay-per-view here in America with Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu, and he just gave us a straight up polite answer about it, right? And he said, I understand, I get it, it's not my part of the equation, but I understand, and we're just trying to keep our fighter active, and we think this is what's best for him. At least he's polite about it. He's out answering questions politely, and he's taking in what the market is telling him. And those are the people that you start to, like and cheer for. But the dudes who are out here condescending to dudes who are just telling you what we want. That's all we're doing. And we're telling you as experts in being a boxing fan. We know what it's like to be a boxer. We have plenty of experience in that, right, D-Style? So we can tell you, we can tell you what it takes to bring more of us into the equation.
But Calix, here's the thing: it's not cool to be a boxing fan, right? That's not cool. Like you're not a cool insider in the inside of the game, and you're being given like detailed information about stuff, which ironically we do get, but that's besides the point. Who cares about all that dumb shit? Who cares? What's wrong with this? Like literally, like there's people that laugh at fans. Oh, they're just fans. Like, okay, like what? Like, what does that even mean, bro? Yes, I am a proud boxing fan. Right. Well, sometimes the sport doesn't make me so proud, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing wrong with being a fan. Nothing wrong. I want to see great fights, and that's why I talk about it, bro. That's why I'm going to a fight like on Friday and shit. Like I'm some
when I go to fights that, by the way, I could get credentials to. I don't. I pay for the fight, and I crack open my Modelo's, and I have a blast, and I pay for good seats, and I talk to fighters at the fights, and I talk to other fans at the fights, and we have a great time. I'm out here supporting the fights. I'm out here supporting the fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I could get credentials for these fights, and I don't, because I'd rather just be a boxing fan.
And by the way, if you do get it's okay to get credentials too. Like I'm just like, before somebody like says, "Oh, what's wrong with getting credential?" Like there's nothing wrong with it, right? The point is, let people do what they do. But like, we've talked to plenty of people. We've had people on the round table that are very close insiders, and they don't act like jerks, bro. Like it just is what it is, right? But it's for whatever reason, there's people that cling into that. It's important to them, and if it's important to you, cool. But some of us just don't give a fuck. Like, too bad. Like it is what it is.
Yep.
And one more thing before we wrap this one up. I think I have hopes, Calix, despite everything. Well, first, the 2 point. Let me make this point first before I make this last point. I was going to make this point. I don't want to lose it. Look, it goes back to the battered wife thing. Okay, remember I made this analogy about the battered wife and boxing is just abusing. And here you have like PBC and Al Heyman have just battered the boxing fans, right? Just beat up, like just terrible, right? Like they cause all, in our opinions anyway, all these problems for the sport. But then there's always those people that, despite this, usually like this woman getting beat up and has black eyes, and you always have these people that are like, no, it's really important that you work it out with your husband, okay? Because think about the kids. Are you really like, they're going to be without a father? Now, granted, in Al Heyman's case, he's already battered up like 9 wives and left all those kids, right? But you're expecting this wife to still stay, right? In Amazon's case, like she needs to stay. Like, don't let these people try to tell you that no. Like, this needs to work, and you should not be happy, and you should hope that it works out, because it's just not good for the sport if PBC's gone. Like, we need PBC. PBC needs to be part of the sport, and if you cheer it, you are a horrible person that wears caps. And if you wear caps, you're a terrible person. I mean, Callis could just be behind a fucking avatar if he wants to hide himself, but it's whatever to me, right? All right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like
do what you want as a consumer, and don't let people shame you.
Do what you want. And here's the thing: if PBC fails, I don't think it's the end of boxing. I don't. In fact, I would take it a step further. If PBC is allowed to still be around, right? All they're going to do is ruin it for all of the whole sport with other networks. And I don't know if we want that, quite frankly.
It's addition by subtraction. I'm telling you, you need to get rid of them. Get rid of this cancer.
Get rid of the cancer. You know what I mean? Calix, going to wrap this one up, but any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I got several, but Canelo did us a favor. And look, I'm not going to say he did this for the greater good of boxing or any of that stuff. I'm not going to do that like he's some sort of Superman, but he does us a favor here, because what it does is we've had debates, you, Beeb, and I, about, is this going to be a hard reset, soft reset? What we all agree on is the harder and the quicker the reset is, the better it is for the sport. And this right here is quite the reset. I think people are actually underplaying the significance of what happened yesterday and what's going to play out, because it's very telling. And how I want to see people react to this is focus in on that outfit and why they've been allowed for almost a decade to run this conflict of interest type of business style, to where this guy can be a hermit and play manager and promoter at the same time, call himself an advisor, and put on his promoter hat. And while he's putting on his promoter hat for the betterment of his outfit, he's actually doing this at the detriment of a lot of his fighters. And Benavidez, whether people are going to tell you that or not, is the latest victim of that. Caleb Plant was almost a victim of that, right? As they played hardball with Canelo and he almost lost his big shot against Canelo. Rolly Romero, a victim of this. And I would argue all of his fighters are a victim of this because they haven't been active enough. and they haven't been building them as stars. But Canelo has done boxing a favor, whether he was thinking about that or not. He's probably just thinking out for his better interest, I'm sure. But he did boxing a favor here by hitting that reset button. And I don't want people to get caught in the weeds, because what needs to happen here is people need to focus in on the PBC. The writers are not going to do this, unfortunately. And the big accounts likely not going to do this either, the ones that can affect change. But we need to be asking these tough questions: is how they've been allowed to do this, and why are we still allowing them to do this at the detriment of these fighters and the sport and boxing fans? It's just, this is a bad look for the PBC, and people should not lose sight of that. And they shouldn't be caught in the weeds of Canelo's ducking Benavidez, Benavidez ducking Canelo, Morrell Jr. is being ducked by. I don't want to hear any of that right now. If that's what you come to rest to, if that was your first reaction to this, your initial reaction, you're lost. You're lost. And I want to remind you that Eddie Hearn's out there saying the right things right now. Look, if Benavidez wants to fight, we'll welcome him with open arms. He's saying Canelo, he's speaking for Canelo now. He's like, we're willing to do all these fights. Munguia, Benavidez, Munguia, Berlanga, but Benavidez wants to come over here. Canelo wants that fight. Come over to the zone and we'll make the fight happen for you. And we're not going to you're not going to hear anything. He was saying this to Ariel Helwani. You're not going to hear these rumors go out about, did this fighter get a $55 million offer? This guy, you're not going to hear that. Either you're going to get the offer or you're not. That's how it works over here. And it's good to hear simplicity and somebody just say, we'll do that fight. Are you willing to come over here? And somebody, D-Style, somebody besides you, somebody needs to be out there who's paid to do it, asking Benavidez right now, are you willing to go to the zone to fight Canelo?
That's the question. Point blank, period. I already know the answer we're going to get. Oh, he wouldn't even fight me when he was over here. So what makes you think that he,
but he needs to be on record.
Like,
this needs to happen.
Like all that aside, Benavidez, if it's offered to you, will you fucking take the fight? Like enough is enough. And answer the question. I'm glad it's no longer hypothetical. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear that's terrible. Like, why would you even ask that? I don't want to hear that. Okay, like now.
And if he says yes, D-Style, Canelo has no out. He's got
no out. There's no out if he just says yes, of course.
Got no out. None.
I'll fight this dude anywhere is the answer, including the zone. I don't give a shit. That's the answer.
And guess who?
Period.
And guess who's going to say Canelo needs to fight that fight? You and I.
Yes, and here's the thing. The one last thing I wanted to say. I don't think the fight is done, like in terms of we're not going to get it. Because I believe, and we talked about this, like we all knew it. Remember when Canelo signed with Matchroom and he said he wanted to become undisputed? And we did a roundtable show and we all said he should go for Plant first because the other bouts he could get right away, no problem. Right? And I remember you would refer to it as willing and dealing with Eddie Hearn, right? Mm-hmm. Willing and dealing, no problem. Boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, look how fast the Callum Smith fight got done. Boom. Okay, it's a champion. Billy Joe fight. Boom. Done. No problem. Then the Plant fight, all of a sudden, that shit was dragged out for months, bro. That's insane to me. And you're shocked that he's leaving PBC? I knew he was going to be volatile. Me and Callis called it from the beginning. Benavidez may not even get the fight. You're going to use him as leverage. But now, look, I honestly believe it. I honestly believe that if they give Eddie Hearn a call, like if Benavidez gives him a call,
oh yeah,
Eddie could have a conversation with Canelo, and I just have this feeling. I don't know what it is, Alex.
Things were smoother. Things were smoother when Eddie is in that circle.
I mean, Fast Eddie, as Bill Haney called him, right? Like Eddie Hearn can definitely make that fight. I honestly believe he can make that fight happen. Yeah. If Benavidez is willing to go to the, make no mistake about it, that's the proper context. The fight didn't die because Canelo left PBC because guess what? Inoue never went to PBC. All right? But Fulton went over there to fight him. Andrew Ruiz didn't leave PBC when he went to go fight AJ. And I don't care what he tell me, both those guys are in very similar positions. They were B-sides that they had to go over there to the big draw. It is what it is. It's similar in that sense. So everyone should be talking about a Benavidez needs to be willing to go to the zone. That's it. It's no longer a hypothetical. It's no longer the stupid answers I was getting before. I was right. I'm going to pull a Rick Glacier. I'm sorry. I was right. I'm vindicated. All right. I don't give a fuck. I told a dude to ask a question. All right. So it is what it is. I was telling you, ask. Okay. Ask that camp. Okay. Ask them. Right.
And they said no. Unbelievable.
He did say no.
Unbelievable.
And here's the best part.
That is unbelievable.
Samson tried to go out there and was like, interview after interview. Canelo talk about payday. No, we give payday to Canelo. Like, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? All right, like what?
Do people realize how insane it is that Caleb Plant and David Benavidez were unwilling to go to the zone to fight Canelo Alvarez? Do people understand how insane that is? And that's why it needs to be asked again now that it's no longer a hypothetical. This is a real thing again. Canelo's going over there. He'd rather be over there. He's always rather be over. He likes working with Eddie. He said it. But I'm telling you right now, if Benavidez is asked this question again and says no, man, good Lord.
I mean, I don't know if he'll say no, but he'll deflect, Calix. Like, that's my worry. Like, if he says something like, if he says this, let's say you asked him and he goes like this. Bro, you really think he's going to fight me? Like, he wouldn't fight me when he was on PBC. Like, you
Yes
really think, like, again, don't deflect.
Yes or no?
And I'm hoping, bro, I swear to God, I want Canelo to come out and say it. So you want to fight me, come to the zone, motherfucker. Like, and it's over. You know what I mean? Like, now look, I'm not saying he'll never, like, who knows? He might go fight by fight moving forward. He might sign a multi-fight. I don't know what he'll do, right? It's yet to be determined. But the fact that they couldn't deliver, they delivered for Plant. They got Plant to fucking fight. But they couldn't deliver for Benavidez, right? No. And if I go by pattern, they almost fumbled it with Plant, but the only reason it happened is Canelo was really insistent on becoming undisputed. That's the only reason it happened, right? There's no doubt that same type of behavior was what made them fumble it again. It wouldn't shock me if something came out and said they were trying to get him on a new deal. Like, they wanted to extend them another fight. They wanted to, like, this. The details will come out. I have a really close source that's really close to Reynoso, so it's going to come out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to come out. And I'm talking like speed dial close. I'm not talking they know the dude that sweeps the gym and he talks to so-and-so and he's dating a girl that happens to know the friend of Canelo and Canelo told him this. No, like he just talks to the Eddie Reynoso. Like, done. Okay? Not source told me. No, I talked to Reynoso close. So it is what it is, all right? But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. And I think this fight's going to happen, Kelly. I'm going to tell you why this fight's going to happen. I still have high hopes. I think Eddie Hearn's the man to get it done. I think he can do it. I know Oscar believes he's the guy, but I think it's Eddie, right? And I think he'll talk to Canelo. He's already saying things like, I talked to Canelo. He'll roll on the floor laughing if anybody told him he didn't want to fight Benavidez. And so I'm sure he can get it done. Now, here's the thing. You know why? Because they're competitors, Calix. Okay? At the end of the day, Benavidez and Canelo are competitors. Just like you. Like when you played basketball, you were a competitor. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like how important was it for you to play like the best teams? Like when you played basketball. You know what I mean?
It was important. Mm-hmm.
It was important. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. As a competitor. All right? With that said, this is D-Style Boxing. A little bit of a long show, guys, but it is what it is. Be on the lookout. See if we could do an X with Kim. See if Kim later in the week or something. So be on the lookout because we're going to keep cooking, and the news cycle doesn't stop. So who knows what's going to happen. With that said, this is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out. Peace.
God bless.